Almost everything you see online is fake. Most advice, inspiration, creativity, and even generosity is manufactured. More and more, everywhere you look on YouTube, whether it be the Shorts tab, pranks, motivational gurus, entertainers, and even animal charity efforts. And now you may be thinking, okay, but reality TV, celebrities, and social media has always been fake and vapid, and it might not seem that harmful. But with the rise of loneliness across the world, the destruction of communities, and the ever-present need for some sort of connection, people across the world are turning to YouTube as an influencers for parasocial relationships, as it's the only way more and more of us can ever feel connected to the outer world by being plugged into a fake virtual one. Which is really scary when you consider the effects this is having on society as a whole. Nowadays, everybody wants to be a star of their own on TikTok or YouTube, inspired by the creators they've developed a parasocial relationship with. People see how their favorite YouTubers live, who they're in relationships with, who their friends are, and their millions of fans then hold their own lives up to the same standard. But what happens when this entire bubble pops? This entire life and all the people you watch are just ripping you further away from authenticity and truth. What if almost all of your favorite YouTubers are completely fake? Well, in this video, we're peeling back the curtain to show you how some creators are manipulating the public for clout and how they use your psychology. And trust me when I say the reality of the situation is truly disturbing. For example, there's a whole side of YouTube that profits from the fake savior complex of making animals cruelly suffer. It's so upsetting that this even exists at all in the name of making money on YouTube, and it really takes a special kind of messed up person to abuse and destroy animals for money. I mean, this is serial killer territory of evil. When you spend more time filming tragic incidences than actually doing something about it, it should always raise red flags. But when it comes to animals who are forced into dangerous and life-threatening situations just for views, it's enough to make anyone's blood boil. And yes, fake animal rescues have really gained millions of views, and nobody was really talking about it on YouTube before Nick Crowley did a video called Fake Animal Rescues. In his video, he featured mainly two channels in which the fake content was investigated, and one of the main channels he covered was Rescue Journey TV, and what he found was alarming. In one of the videos they uploaded, it starts with a puppy that was apparently bitten. However, the puppy is hiding under a structure. If anyone knows dog behavior, a dog that is in fear or has no trust in you, the white of their eyes will show. This is known as whale eyes. It's a common telltale sign of anxiety and stress. The kids in this video are trying to rescue it, but the bite mark on the puppy does not match up with what a bite mark would actually look like. And at the same time, the puppy is clearly showing whale eyes. The puppy is then taken to what most would assume to be a vet when the bite mark in the clip mysteriously vanishes. Now, the logical conclusion here is that the vet scene is shot before the incident and that the wound on the puppy is inflicted by the kids with an object like a knife. But then in another clip, a puppy is found caught up in a fishing net with a bunch of discarded chairs. However, in the scene, we see that the puppy is well hidden, and this entire shot is filmed from them finding the puppy to setting it free. However, the thumbnail of the clip is not found at all in the entire video, which made people wonder, was this video actually staged? And if so, what were they doing to this poor dog? I mean, the puppy couldn't have gotten to where it was found. It's almost impossible to have gotten to the situation by itself, as the chairs were firstly too high for the puppy to reach it to climb, and the entangled fishing line was also a bit extreme, to say the least, and obviously completely unrealistic. But as the views started pouring in for these channels, more and more competitors of these videos started popping up all over YouTube, which led to another channel called Happy Dog, a huge fake rescue channel on YouTube, and this channel would take things to a whole other level. Now, the rescue suspiciously starts with a farmer doing yard work when he hears a kitten or a puppy and finds it caught up in fencing or a tree. However, if you continue watching videos on the channel, the same kitten or puppy is being used to rescue over and over again. But this isn't the worst part. One of their most viral clips was about a puppy that was being attacked by a snake. Again, they took their time in filming the first few seconds rather than actually saving the pup. Then once they come to the puppy's rescue, they also dangled the snake near the puppy as if it hadn't been traumatized enough. You see, before this, the channel didn't have any other snake attack clips. None of the videos featured this. But then once the snake attack clip with the puppy is uploaded and hits over 4 million views, everything changed. All of a sudden, 13 snake attacks in 2 months are uploaded. Snake attacks on kittens, puppies, and even rabbits are now being continuously uploaded. In some instances, the puppy is taken to a vet where it miraculously survives a king cobra bite. This is of course fake because the puppy would have died within minutes of being bit, even though the clip clearly shows a bite mark. So it's more than likely faked, and the vet scene is shot before the puppy is shoved into a space with a king cobra, where it probably more than likely died from a snake bite. There's so much of this stuff on YouTube that is honestly shocking. There's the torture of dogs almost drowning, trapped in asbestos, kittens found under rocks. The list never really ends here. A kitten was even, quote, found wedged between truck tires and then miraculously rescued. And as soon as the views and money starts pouring in from these videos, suddenly there's a bunch more clips with the exact same thing happening. New clips of tire wedge kittens appear on the channel again. It's really sickening to think how these kittens are forced between the tires and are left there until they're rescued, again and again and again, all for the profit of the channel. And most of these fake videos are from Vietnam or Thailand, but they're filmed in English to make sure they can hit that good AdSense money. And recently there's now been a new trend on YouTube of freeing turtles from barnacles on their back. However, it was discovered by Dan the Turtle Man that these turtles were freshwater turtles and would never have had any barnacles on them in the first place. And it turns out the barnacles were actually glued on their backs, and that the problem is that the turtles have nerve endings in their shell and are incredibly sensitive to soft leathery shells. Some of the clips don't even show barnacles, but small rocks glued to them, only to be ripped off with sharp knives.
This dude, he glued rocks to it! Giant barnacles? Are you serious, dude? These are literally rocks. I didn't watch this dude's channel yet. Look, that one's falling off because you just glued it. Look, you could see the super glue coming off. You could see the super glue on the side of the turtle. You could see that. That's not even super glue, that's hot glue. So you put burning hot glue, which is basically melted plastic, to the shell of the turtle, which can feel all of this. This is the worst offender I've seen. This channel, Rescue Sea Turtle. This dude sucks.
And worse yet, they are putting these freshwater turtles in the sea, under the impression that they can fool us into thinking they are seawater turtles. It's an incredibly cruel thing to put freshwater turtles in the salt water. In fact, it's actually barbaric. And yet what's so scary is that most people in the comments of these videos don't even realize what's happening here, with even the ASMR crowd enjoying these videos as well, which is only worsening the trend and making more people incentivized to create these kinds of videos. And every single person of the millions of viewers watching this stuff is just adding to the problem and giving these people more money. And now of course there are genuine animal rescue programs and we should support these rescues, but with YouTube it's almost impossible to tell at this point what's real and what's not. Even some of the most mainstream celebrated and beloved YouTubers out there are faking their videos and personality for clout, raising a generation of kids and teens into loving a fake and authentic version of the world. So why is there such an issue with faking videos on YouTube? But before we continue, have you ever heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits led by today's sponsor, Fume. Fume draws flavor to your mouth and fills the void that ditching a bad habit can leave. You have something to reach for guilt-free, that won't destroy you like your bad habits, and it's made to fidget with, which can calm anxiety with its magnate snaps and clicks. And you see, the thing with Fume is that there's no vapor, it's not a vape, and there's no nicotine, making it completely non-addictive with non-toxic flavoring. In fact, the flavored air can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. And they make sure it's safe by continuously investing in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, with Fume being backed by doctors across the US. My personal favorite flavor is their crisp mint flavor. It leaves your mouth feeling so refreshed and it's delicious to taste. You see, flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are more closer to herbal teas. That's how Fume has been able to serve over 150,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. So for a limited time, use my code MOON to get 10% off a journey pack. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code MOON or scan the QR code on screen to save 10% off of your order today. When it comes down to the fundamentals of how YouTube actually works, first, how clickable is your video, and second, how long can you keep the viewer watching for? By having an outrageously crazy challenge or prank, and then dragging out the result of this challenge to the end of the video, you've got a recipe for millions of views on YouTube. That's why all over YouTube you see videos with brightly colored thumbnails, extreme challenges, and topics appealing to the lowest common denominator, or in most cases, literal children. And almost all of them are following the MrBeast model of making videos. But unlike MrBeast, who uses the crazy titles and challenges and then actually delivers on them without faking the video, the same can't be said for most YouTubers. That's why all of these MrBeast clones and fake prank channels all feel so soulless, devoid of any personality, completely inauthentic and staged. Prank channels in particular have been called out for years on YouTube as always being completely fake. People like Sam Pepper become infamous for doing so and building an entire brand and reputation around it.
Sam had never made mainstream headlines until a very peculiar prank in 2014. The fake hand and ass-grabbing prank, to be exact.
Are you touching my butt?
I would not do that, come on.
So, I mean, this is just insane in retrospect.
However, with the huge success of fake pranks and challenges has come more and more professional videos that make it almost impossible to discern truth from fiction. But it's getting so bad now that some of the biggest names on YouTube with tens of millions of subscribers are even resorting to this too, because in most cases if you don't, someone else will and they'll outcompete you in views and money. So increasingly, more YouTubers are jumping on the bandwagon of faking their videos for views, and getting rewarded by the algorithm for doing so. Take Eric for example. He's often been seen as the MrBeast golden child, the hottest upcoming YouTuber around. However, recently he's been exposed for actually faking his videos too. Soggy Cereal produced a series of exposés revealing that Eric often faked elements of his videos. It first began with an investigation into a video where Eric claimed to support a small town called The Angle.
The entire premise of the challenge is built on the charitable act of our selfless hero Eric, risking his life traveling over 38 miles of ice trying to get to a small town called The Angle, which had a completely ravaged economy because of COVID and zero tourism as a result.
Being titled Cycling Across 38 Miles of Ice, the intention was to buy a specialized bicycle that could cycle across a frozen lake to The Angle. However, this isn't really what happened. At first it seemed like they just had problems with bicycles and ended up with one bicycle sinking into the lake and the other just breaking. But with every shot, despite Eric and his friends trying to pull the bicycle out of the frozen lake, it only seems to be sinking more. So either all three of these bicycles were really weak, or the bicycles weighed a bunch, which wouldn't really make any sense for riding on ice in the first place. The shot of the bicycle shows a building in the background where they were to start their travel to The Angle, but that building would end up being the same building they were going to be staying at in The Angle upon their arrival. The building was called Sportsman Lodge, which is about 40 miles away from The Angle, so they never actually left the area at all. They claimed they were going to empty their bank accounts to support tourism too, especially because the Angle community was struggling under the effects of COVID at the time. However, as they show off the lodge, if you Google the Sportsman Lodge site that exists 40 miles away from The Angle, the photos confirm they were still 40 miles away from where they were meant to be. Same bedding, same bar, all the same as shown in the shots of their location matching the photos of the Sportsman's Lodge. As they head out to the restaurant, a person in the footage again confirms it by mentioning the Sportsman's Lodge, which the editing team tries to dub out with another person's laugh.
You're sticking out like a sore thumb by being here, because nobody from LA comes to Sportsman.
We said that when y'all walked in, we're like, them guys.
But the real question is, how are they supporting a town they're not even in by spending money at a separate location? And there were so many examples of this. Another challenge was Eric going in a straight line across the country, with a half-mile buffer zone to be true to his word. It was a series of 8 uploads, and while it drew in the massive amounts of views, gained him a bunch of subscribers, fans, and money, he actually does straight off the bat mention a flaw in his plan, that it was completely unrealistic to walk.
If I continue to only walk across this 1,500-mile line, it would literally take me 6 months. So my friends are about to pick me up in our first vehicle.
But he doesn't limit himself to just walking, but traveling by any means necessary. He also strategically takes the time to introduce his new merchandise of hoodies. But to make sure it seemed legit, Eric would provide a map on his site so that viewers could try it out for themselves and do the same challenge. But it turned out that Eric himself would provide the footage of his failed attempt. I mean, the shot included a billboard sign showing behind the 3 friends playfully mocking that they were almost out of the line, but the truth is that the billboard itself gave them away. The billboard was in fact 20 miles away from their straight line. In the same content, they hit some obstacles that are not even on the map. However, as Soggy Cereal shows, the Eric team had actually turned the map upside down and added a fake forest or bushes for the trio to contend with, so the obstacle itself was also fake.
This forest obstacle they talk about, well, it doesn't even exist. I couldn't find this area anywhere along that route, until I finally realized that his editors just turned this section on the map upside down and then photoshopped a forest on top of it.
Which is funny because in a wide interview, one of Google's most searched questions was, does Eric fake videos?
Does Eric fake videos? This question triggers me because of the lengths that we go to make sure that videos are not faked, unscripted, completely real.
And even recently, Eric took on a challenge to travel the world in 30 days, ending on the 31st of December in New York, and having to upload daily about his journey, or else MrBeast would delete his channel permanently. But of course, like almost all YouTubers, this was also completely hollow and fake. Eric talks about Parade on Ireland, but as Soggy Cereal shows, the parade only happened in November, and the challenge supposedly started on the 1st of December.
Well, this is the Dublin Services Parade, which happened on September 2nd.
And in almost every upload, timestamps show that Eric was not within the agreed time frame. In fact, if you collectively add the time it was done in, it was probably more like 120 days, with all of this content being filmed prior to the actual date of the challenge. And then he would promote his merchandise again, with a new logo, Mafia, that came with your own personal serial number, giving it a unique edge, making it a one-of-a-kind hoodie. However, the serial number was always 001, for everybody. And then it turned out this entire channel was fake. There's more footage of Eric and his friends sneaking into a concert as fake DJs with wristbands on, implying they actually paid to be there and had no need to sneak in at all. And this is just so common on YouTube. So many YouTubers are doing this. That's why most of your favorite influencers oftentimes are just completely inauthentic and never real to who they actually are. But Eric's fake videos are nothing in comparison to the fake guru proliferation that we're seeing everywhere on the YouTube Shorts algorithm. They've become such a phenomenon that we've made several videos on them, and still there's more and more stories coming out. As the fake gurus that have proliferated the YouTube algorithm and YouTube Shorts, these people who brag about their lifestyle, show off their fancy cars, show you all their materialistic dreams in front of you, baiting you in, all so that you can buy into their sleazy sales pitch, preying on an audience that is desperate to get rich quickly in a dying economy. Whether it's a Lamborghini in the garage or Rolexes in Dubai, the point is always to grab your attention. And once these fake gurus have your attention, they need you to be invested in their life story. They show you the world of what being rich is like. Women, crazy parties, ultimate freedom, and it always just seems so easy. And if you watch a lot of this YouTube content and you go down a self-improvement rabbit hole, eventually you'll stumble into one of these people, and maybe one of them will offer a free 2-day course that you can jump into, or even just subscribing to them and following their fake lifestyle. It's very easy to believe that this could be real, but from there, they'll say bold statements.
Why would you save money when the government's printing money?
Pitch you against other people, push up the American dream, all while making you feel special for following them. But little do you realize that this entire lifestyle that you're pitched is completely fake and hollow. Their entire business model is making you believe in the illusion to gain your trust, because that's when the real money is made. That's why there's a proliferation of wildly overpriced, scammy online courses that are designed just to upsell you into paying you crazy money. For example, most of their sales sites, you'll think of signing up and they'll have a bar showing you that there's only so many spaces still available, and while you're sitting there, the numbers start dropping, creating urgency to sign up. Or you'll see people tell you the true value of their product and then cut it down and say they're giving you a really good price. Or they'll say that people who don't take their advice are subhuman, are peasants.
And honestly, when you guys are stupider and don't take action and make a lot of excuses, it makes people like me more money, which is more enjoyable for me, just more exciting that way.
And the only people who live their lifestyle like they do are real men. But everything about this whole subgenre of people is fake. Their only purpose and business model is by teaching you how to make a business. Even though most of these people never had a business in the first place that was successful. There is no get rich quick scheme. There never was. On the sorts of lifestyles that actual rich people live in the first place. But once you pay for their first course, they'll always intentionally insinuate that the next course is coming soon. And this one will finally give you the actual secrets you were looking for in the first course. And psychologically, once you've already paid for a course, and the answer to all is just around the corner in the next course, it's inevitable that people pay to do the next course. If you're already this hooked into their lifestyle, their message, their personality, you can easily be brainwashed into the upsell. Then there'll be the next course, the $45,000 course, the big conferences with flashy lights that are all created to spike your dopamine and pump up your enthusiasm and keep you believing that because they are rich, they will also make you rich, even though they don't tell you that the only way they get rich is by telling you how to get rich. And they don't even tell you how to be a fake guru. They don't teach you what they did. And before you know it, you're paying for the next course and the next course, hanging on to every word, because you've already bought so far into this dream that the reality of your depressing situation is too much to handle. And that's not to say all online courses or communities are bad, not at all. A lot of people have genuine courses and information to tell and sell for a price. That's not the problem. It's the people always trying to upsell you, always telling you stuff that's very surface level, that has no substance, and convincing you that the way they live is the real way to live, on the hedonistic treadmill of materialism, where everything you learn in their courses can be found just simply in books or on the internet, and all the time and money you spend on these gurus' lifestyles and their courses is completely wasted. And usually all of these fake gurus have a past painted with red flags. They're always usually part of a scandal or a scheme, and most of the gurus don't practice ever what they preach. They'll tell you that it's good to be $1 billion in debt.
I'm $1 billion in debt.
You're $1 billion in debt.
that making 400k a year is pocket change.
If I made 400 grand a year, I would be embarrassed with myself as a husband, a father, basically as a human being.
And then if you don't have a Lamborghini in your 20s, you're falling dramatically behind. But the entire illusion is fake, and once you fall down this YouTube rabbit hole, eventually you'll soon come to the conclusion that all of your clicks and time is being wasted. But they're not the only ones trying to make a buck from faking content. You see, there's a whole genre on YouTube of restoring old items such as guns, Game Boys, and phones. And yet recently, this entire genre has been unveiled to be just another fake illusion for YouTube viewers. Well, it's partially fake, and what I mean by partially is that the item was intentionally rusted by chemicals to make the video. Most people don't care, it's just amusing to watch, but there is a valid reason that in some cases it could matter a great deal.
But he's pulling millions of views, and those millions of views could translate to at least one person looking at an antique that they find at a shop or have in their house and using his same methods on that antique.
If a historic item is ever found, and some of these techniques are used, it could potentially ruin the item to a point of no return. Most of these videos start with finding the object. This can be mostly fake because realistically, how often do you find something rare just as you're filming? It's one thing to find something and then take it home and film about it, but to keep you watching they tend to flip that around and go treasure hunting for an old item to restore, keeping you engaged in the video with their deception. And then once they find the item, they will begin by showing the awful shape the item is in, and this is where more deception comes in. You see, one of the tricks they use is with copper.
You can see in some areas, boy, immediately it started to react to the steel.
By turning up the color intensity during filming, this highlights the green that the copper produces and makes it look far more rusty than it actually is. They then begin to strip it down, take it apart, and wash and clean it as best they can. This is fine, except if any item is electronic, there should be huge problems there. I mean, there are other ways of cleaning electronic items where water damage isn't involved, and by all metrics, dumping an item in water is more than likely only going to damage it further. Any dings and broken off bits can be fixed with alternative substances, like a 2-minute noodle hack, but if you don't know what you're doing, this can be extremely tricky, and for the sake of making the video, they only show the beginning of the pasta paste and then the finished look, which is usually the new replaced case or replaced piece presented as a fixed piece. If the item is a rusted gun or knife, you'll always see that the rust hasn't actually eaten away at anything.
1. The thinnest area on the blade, if it's a really old knife, you'll see pitting and damage. On this, since this oxidation only happened for a couple days, even though the blade is thin right there, it's still in great condition.
If they use a soft brush to start cleaning it, the dirt that you see is likely just paint that is brushed off for effect. In the video 7 Signs of Fake Restoration, the YouTuber clearly shows that you have to look for a glossy cover, as he explains that chemicals like salt are used to create rust that leaves this type of residue.
Here's an old chisel. This one looks pretty authentic, but you can still see that weird shininess.
When plastic is being cleaned, you should also know that scratches are never just going to magically disappear because it was cleaned. In fact, it would be far more realistic if they replaced the plastic scratched up piece. If there is wood involved, watch out for what appears to be burnt sections, as this is just to grab your attention. Burnt wood is only scorched on the surface, so a quick sandpaper can fix the problem almost entirely, and if it really was burnt, it would be far deeper than the surface damage and in most cases would need replacing. So some experts have taken it upon themselves to react to some of this fake content, and it becomes quite comical entertainment.
Oh, we can just press that in by hand. We don't even need a case, but man, this guy got Superman fingers.
In a watch restoration video, it's noted they are using car cream to buffer the parts to a brand new state. It seems as though the water and paint brushes are used to remove some of the rust despite the delicate parts that should have been removed before brushing started. A laptop or PC found in a dirty river was surprisingly restored despite scrubbing the hard drive and motherboard, which are sensitive pieces that would cause more damage, and in the end they show the tower with a side panel different from the beginning shot of the casing.
Now, here's something I noticed that is pretty different. Look at the side panel on there. Alright, this side panel looks freshly painted, although, you know, it doesn't really painted bugs and shit all over it.
Then miraculously, the PC powers up and it only takes a few guesses to somehow get the password right. It's almost insulting that they portray this as real and somehow expect their viewers to believe this. But because they play on human psychology, they still get a bunch of views and a huge following. Some restoration videos are real, and watching the craftsmanship and talents behind these restorations should be noteworthy and applauded. However, these people have taken years to perfect their skills and know when something is not restorable. Some will even openly reveal that they had to replace a small part due to unrepairable parts, and they mark that this would not be a true restoration of the item as they have to outsource these other parts. But because of their honesty, they won't see the same success as these fake channels. And where it really becomes shady is how lots of these fake restoration videos can then charge services to restore your own items, making this stuff really scammy and scummy. But at the moment, it seems like YouTube is stepping in to stop this scammy behavior on YouTube. But nothing is more hypocritically fake than the people pretending to be authentic, real, and living in the wild. Introducing primitive building videos. As sadly many primitive building videos, the videos that you think will actually be authentic, the ones outside of the virtual world, outside of all the BS of YouTube, still have the same problem as all of these other niches. Now, primitive building videos would usually show two indigenous men working together to build a structure with nothing but materials they found in the jungle, ranging from a pool to a full-blown dwelling. But if we take a closer look and question a few obvious flaws, it becomes apparent that it's fake. Let's take a deeper look. In most of these videos, it takes more than just one or two people. It's normally a team with their own architect and building equipment that you don't see. I mean, have you ever tried to actually dig a hole? It's so much harder than it looks, and two men digging with sticks would take forever. Instead, they use earth-moving equipment. Then they hide this equipment and continue filming as if they dug the hole themselves, making the viewers think they had done this enormous task on their own. And for most people who don't live in the jungle and don't live outside, they'd have no idea of how absurd these videos would truly be. And when people started taking a closer look at these videos, like SunnyV2 did, you will see smooth marks on the side of the walls that don't match the digging that they supposedly did with the sticks. The sticks should leave small, long line grooves, in comparison to the smooth dug out marks from the earth moving equipment. On the other side of the structure that was built, you might see spray paint, which would be to mark where to dig, but is never included in the clip as spray paint is not part of the primitive scene that you were led to believe it is. There are clips where the equipment couldn't do any of the work because of the formation of the structure. They really would need to do the actual digging themselves, but as we all know, many hands make light work, so the team of about 10 do the job with spades. That still strip away from the authentic conception that the structure was only built by the two that you actually see in this entire clip, where you're led to believe they're only using what the natural environment offers. But once the structure is formed, they then start to secure it with mud and clay, or natural cement collected at the river or made by sand and water, which again is completely false. This is not reality. It's a false illusion presented to the viewer to make you believe that all of this is really possible. And what's really important to note, as this will happen with all of the people we speak about in this video, is that the way they feed into this illusion is by playing on your lack of knowledge. Almost none of the viewers watching this have any idea of how to build structures outdoors. And of course, as most people don't know this stuff, you might think there's no reason that it's not possible to use mud to keep the structure in place. But even clay needs heat to actually set in full. In reality, what these people are showing to their viewers is not what is being done in reality. They're using cement on the actual structure, which is generally mixed with sand, so the coloring of the mixture keeps the facade going for longer. Not only that, but the structure itself has been orchestrated by the architect or engineer for the structure to last at least the length of the filming time. I mean, during the actual filming, if you keep a close eye, you'll pick up on some very obvious signs. For example, in the background, you might see the earth moving equipment in the corner of the shot, or one of the team members working in a white t-shirt. Generally speaking, most are too distracted by the men digging to notice these small flaws, and that's what they count on to keep the entertainment going and the illusion lasting longer. But looking from a logically natural view, if it is in an area that has many trees, where are the roots of these trees or the rocks and stones? They've obviously already removed and excavated it. The reason as silly as it might be is that it's too much work, as if it would be something you would do in one day. If you watch for more of an ASMR reason, it breaks the tranquility of the moment, and again the viewer loses interest, and people don't watch to the end of the video, and the algorithm doesn't recommend your video. So they cover up all the realities of making these kinds of videos to make you fall further into the illusion. All flaws and imperfections scrubbed out. When they put up bamboo poles, one should take note of the smooth cut at the ends, and then ask, how would this be possible if no proper tools were at hand? Even the bamboo poles used to guide water into the pools are smoothly cut, and the water itself is just another delusion. I mean, in a structure with a pool, if you really think about it, why the hell was the water actually blue? It doesn't really make any sense. Well, it's only blue due to editing or painting the structure blue, or even dyeing the water to appear blue. In some clips, you'll actually see them rigging up a structure as if they are redirecting water from a nearby stream to fill up their pool. Again, more lies. Most of these clips are shot nowhere near any kind of source of water, so the filming is just so misleading. In truth, they are pouring water into the bamboo pipes from bottles of water brought on site or from an on-site reservoir. They will even use the same footage of collecting water and cement or mud in another video, because most wouldn't check if it's the same shot. Some of the structures appear to be very Minecraft inspired, which works against the primitive genre that they go for, but it's also designed to capture the viewer's attention, playing on human psychology to keep up this illusion and rake in tens of millions of views. And once these false structures are actually built and the video is finally uploaded, then there's the mess that's left behind that we don't see. And if we did, nobody would be supporting this trend. One example is the Primitive Technologies Ideas channel, with about 5 million subscribers who do this kind of content, and the money they make from these clips comes at a very big agricultural cost. You see, most of the structures that are seen in the videos are done on private properties. A cameraman working on these videos confirmed most of the information, and also confirmed that the clips are filmed in places like Thailand, Cambodia, or Vietnam. But what is the outcome of this stuff? Well, it turns out that the sites are littered with cement bags and stagnant water. One property can be the site for many of the structures that we see, and are all then left in disarray after the video. Now, not all primitive videos are fake, and this is what makes it so hard to discern what is reality when you go online. For example, one particular channel, Primitive Technology, run by an Australian man, has been credited as the most authentic content of the genre. His name is John Plant, and his channel has over 10 million followers. His content is more silent footage of how he works in structures, and while he admits he uploaded the content with no narration out of laziness, it seems to have been a great decision, as the views have poured into his channel. But one of the key things here is that John doesn't skip out steps and keeps the content as authentic as possible. He clearly has a passion for it, and when the subject of fake primitive videos came up, he encouraged people to try it for themselves to get their answer. It was a short, sweet, and clever reply as it directs the solution back to the viewers, getting his audience outside and participating in his building activities, making them realize how possible this truly was. Whilst the deception found in these primitive building videos certainly skews perceptions and disappoints fans, there's not so much damage to the viewers as it's just really wasting time. It's scary to think that almost everything you see online, every video you watch, can just so easily be manufactured to create a false vision of reality, misleading millions and millions of people around the world into either feeling insufficient or believing in delusion. And thank you Fume for sponsoring the video.